All right, everybody, welcome back. 1776 or bust. So I'm going to start this video off by saying I apologize if I'm coughing and hacking up a lung in this video. But January's been a strange month. I've been sick a lot. I got sick last week, feeling sick again this week. My daughter has the flu. It's just been a mess. But, hopefully we'll be on the mend pretty soon. So if I am coughing a little bit, I apologize. I'll try to, do better next time. Now, what you see on the table here, guys, is a P320 X carry. And this is my first venture into the X series of handguns on the Sig line, I guess you could say. Now, this one's a little bit different than the other X carries in the fact that this is a P320 X carry Pro model. Now, the Pro model has some interesting features that the other ones do not. First off, you're going to notice that there is no giant X carry written anywhere. That was something that was etched on the older ones, and also there is no lightning cut on the slide. The newer models do not have the lightning cuts anymore, so this is kind of what that is. But one of the best features of this, and the reason why I picked it up, was because it is obviously optic capable. However, on the Pro models, you're going to notice that the plate here is removable, like the other models. However, you do not lose the co-witnessing rear sight. So to me, that was a big deal. You don't necessarily need co-witnessing. However, I think it's always good to have that option if you choose to have it. And in this case, the Pro model of the X carry actually gives you that option. And that's why I picked it up. And this is available to LEOs and also first responders. So if you fall into that category, you can actually buy one of these. And that's pretty cool. Again, I'm not sure why Sig didn't do that for everybody. I think it's a better option than having the rear sight attached to the plate, which then removes the rear sight capability. But again, I don't work for Sig, so it's not really my decision to make. This one came with 3 magazines. Unfortunately, they are, let me see here, they're actually 17-round magazines. However, this one has been pinned to the whopping 10 rounds. Woohoo! So I have a 10-round magazine that was meant to carry 17. So if you have the ability to be free, 17 rounds, this bad boy carries. In regards to some of the features that you see here, looking at the grip, as many of you know, is going to be a little bit longer than the compact type grips with a shorter slide. The slide itself is about 3.9 inches. The gun weighs about 27 ounces, so it's kind of a good mixture of weight and size. I would say that when I'm carrying the gun, or at least holding the gun, it feels very balanced. There's a lot of good features about this gun when you put it in your hand. Now, keep in mind, this is just a tabletop. I've already shot it, so I can give you kind of a good insight into what to expect when you shoot it, but we'll save that for the next video because you guys know that I usually do a back-to-back with the initial impression and then the final impression. So looking at the grip, again, obviously the ergonomics have changed a little bit. So they've put out this little cutout here underneath the trigger guard, which gives you a little bit better feel for the gun. And you can see that your finger is going to be kind of digging more into that grip. I think that really does allow for a little bit more control and just a little bit more comfortableness when you're carrying the gun and holding the gun. The texturing on the grip is fairly good. I don't really have many complaints about it. I think it's a good feeling texture. Obviously, it's not going to be as, I guess you could say, rugged or texturized as a M&P 2.0. However, it is still fairly good. It's fairly comfortable. It doesn't really rub raw, but at the same time, you get a pretty good feel for how this gun should be in your hand. It also has that texturing down here. Interestingly enough, they did not put it in this undercut here, which I'm not really sure why. I think it would have been a decent thing to do there just to give you a little bit more purchase. But again, is it necessary? Probably not. You'll notice you also have it on the back of the grip here. And again, this is a standard medium size, which this is what it comes with. And again, it's fairly good. I didn't really have any issues when I was shooting it. I didn't feel the gun was slipping in any way. But again, we'll talk about what my overall impression was with the gun in the next video. Magazine release is fairly easy to use. Again, the magazines come right out, no issues. Interestingly enough, while the actual mag well doesn't seem to be very beveled, it is fairly wide. As a matter of fact, when you put the gun or the magazine in, there is a very easy ability to get this magazine into the mag well. You don't really miss it very often, and it's not difficult to do that. And again, like I said, even though it's not really, flared outward or anything like that, I just think the way it's cut, it just makes a very easy insertion of the magazine into the handgun, and at least that's what I'm finding. You also see the new style Beaver Tail on the P320X carries. At first, initially, I thought it was going to be a little bit too big, a little bit too bulky. Excuse me. And what I noticed is that just handling the gun, it's actually fairly comfortable. I also noticed that the grip itself is a little bit thicker than some other handguns that I own. So just kind of give you an example, what I'm talking about is here's my Masada. And just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about, while the Masada looks like it's a little bit thicker in the back here, this Masada grip is extremely narrow. It's a very thin grip, whereas the P320X carry is a lot thicker. There's a lot more meat there, so to speak. And I'm not saying it's a bad or a good thing. I'm just simply saying that if you have smaller hands, you actually might have to reduce the size of this overall lower and make it into a small because it is, again, it's a fairly chunky grip. Does it make it feel horrible? No. Does it feel like a Glock type of grip? No, it definitely does not, because these are much more rounded as opposed to squared off. Again, the typical Sig Sauer, you have your takedown lever. You just basically, let me do this off camera with my good hand. You basically want to rotate the lever downwards, and you don't have to pull the trigger, and out goes all the stuff. So again, there's really no difference. I mean, if you've seen one Sig, you've seen them all. So blah, blah. Inside, again, you have your removable chassis, so you can take this whole bad boy out, which is a serialized component of the handgun, and then put it into a new grip frame. Let's say you want to do an FDE grip frame, which, you know, maybe that'd be kind of cool. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I might actually get it Cerakoted. But, you know, overall, the modularity of the gun is hard to beat. Now, I think a lot of guns really should be going that route. This is not a very difficult modular system to really undo. I still think that the Masada probably has one of the easiest, and so does the Steyr for that matter. But again, it's something that allows people to have the option to change things out. So if you want to get a smaller grip module, you can. If you want to get a different color, you can, without losing actually the gun. The biggest, you know, at this point, there's not a lot to complain about the gun. You know, the X-ray sights are really good on here. Again, they're a little bit low in regards to small or low to the slide. But I have to say the front of that X-ray sight is pretty darn cool. I like that bright green. I don't necessarily know if it's any better than any other of those like kind of lime greens that you have on sights, but it shows up fairly well. And, you know, so far I like them. I mean, they do a good job. One of the things that I would say is the biggest, I guess you can say, beef with Sig as a whole when it comes to their polymer series is their polymer sucks. And I don't mean to say that it's, you know, non-rigid or it falls apart, but just everything scratches us, you know, like, for example, if you take a look there, you can see little scratch marks, because right before I made the video, I wanted to see if I could actually leave some scratches, and you actually can. And that's just with my fingernail that I barely have. So I'd say that's basically the only downside to this. That's something I wish Sig would actually do something about. However, they don't have to. Why? Because people still buy them and people don't really care. Now, for me, what I might actually do eventually is get this thing Cerakoted a little bit, make it look pretty. And maybe do something special for it, because I do like the gun enough that I'm probably going to wind up keeping this forever. I do think it's a good solid build. One of the things that I did show online was this little trick. So again, no magazine, trigger is not in you know, the slide's not a battery, trigger's not functional. But then you do something like that, and then the trigger's functional. So some people are, you know, kind of saying it's not a big deal, because what's happening is the slide is just, I guess, going back just enough. However, it's not doing anything with any of the rounds in the chamber. However, I'm still a little curious if that's something I need to look at and be concerned with, because let's say there is a round in the chamber, you drop your gun on that back Beaver Tail. Does that striker go forward to be able to let that round go off? Now, I'm not going to practice doing that, so if any of you would like to try, feel free to do that. However, I would say it's probably going to be unsafe. But I would definitely try it if you have the ability to get a primer. And throw it in there and basically see if it works. And then let me know, because I'd be curious about that. But overall, fit and finish seems to be really good. Sights are very good. The gun itself is very good. And the trigger actually is not that bad. So to kind of give you an idea of what the trigger is pulling at right now, and it'd probably come out about 5 pounds. So let's try this out. So my initial trigger pull is 4 pounds, 7.7 ounces. 4 pounds, 12.8 ounces, for a grand total of, let's see, 4 pounds, 10.3 ounces. So to me, that's a very good trigger, considering the old Sigs were about 6 pounds. Every Sig I owned prior to this one was about a 6-pound trigger. So I definitely think there's an improvement. So positive-wise, guys, so far what I'm seeing is ergonomics are good, really good. They feel really nice in the hand. It's a very natural-feeling grip. You can just get a really good bite on the gun itself. Pointing of the gun is very natural. The sights are very good. I like the fact that you have the ability to remove the cover, but still maintain the rear sight. I think that's a bonus. Magazines are good. Very nice, construction of the mags. No issues with that. And everything seems very functional. Trigger pull is good. Trigger is nice and flat at a 90-degree angle as it breaks, and I'll kind of just show you that. So here you got your little take up right there. And then that's about it. Very small movement of the trigger. There's your reset right there. Again, very small. So the trigger is really, really good on this gun. Do I think you need to upgrade it? Well, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm upgrading it anyway. Who cares, right? So I will be upgrading it. It's going to be interesting to see if this feels any better than the stock one. I think it will, because Apex makes great stuff as always. But overall, nice gun. You know, again, my only downside is the polymer and the fact that there is no cutout here. That's one thing. So you can see that the, I guess you can call them the ears of the slide lock slide release is just sticking out. And there doesn't seem like there's any real finish on there. And what I mean by that is it would have been nice if they would have beveled out something here like they did on the old P320s when they released the newer versions of the slide release. But other than that, very happy, guys. At this point, I'm going to recommend it just on my initial impression. So stay tuned for the overall impression, because I think it's going to convince some of you that maybe this is a gun worth getting. So I'd like to hear what you have to say. Tell me what you think about the P320 X-Carry series. Do you like the fact that this one, the Pro model, has the ability to co-witness? So other than that, guys, hope you have a great night. Stay safe. And as always, freedom is never free.